Hi, everyone. This is Margaret Hirsch at Home with Hirsch's, and thank you for joining us for our wellness chat today. And of course, wellness is not only bodily wellness, it's mental wellness, which a lot of us have been suffering. We've all, there's not a soul who hasn't suffered through COVID. We've been anxious, we've been worried, had COVID, we've had loved ones who've had COVID, we've had people die from COVID, and people that we never thought that we would miss so much. It's incredible. And we've been through a really traumatic time. How do we take control of our mind? And I teach mind power, and I believe that the mind controls everything. Your mind controls your body does not control your mind. And your mind that made your body sick can make your body well again. And that's what we're talking about today. Welcome to Jess and Stacey, my two co-hosts for today. And we've got our friend Sandra Story, one of our Mrs. South Africa finalists from last year. Amazing person. Her husband is the kindest man ever. He took pictures of all the matric dance children, which was a feat of note. I promise you, I'm still getting requests today for pictures of them and to try and find them in the 200 that we had. But anyway, Sandra, welcome today. Welcome to Stacey and Jess, and thank you for taking time out to come and help other people who are having a hard time on a Monday morning, and other people who just want to get better every day. We were talking today about companies who just keep getting better and better, and like we do, we get better because it's a Japanese word called kana, which is constant, never-ending improvement. You have to improve yourself every day. If you're not growing, you're dying. So you need to be growing, and you can't just stand still, because by standing still, you actually start going backwards, and then it just takes you so much further to get to where you were before you can start going forwards. So in life, it's just so important to keep going the direction of your dreams, and you'll definitely get there. So without further ado, I think Stacey or Jess, who's going to introduce Sandra? We all know her, but
I will.
All the other people are on board, and who's live streaming on Facebook, who are going to be watching today.
Wonderful. Thank you, Margaret. Sandra, thank you so much for coming on today and for telling us about your life story and all that you do. Thank you. So Sandra Story is a transformational life coach, keynote speaker, and a Mrs. South Africa top 10 finalist 2021. She arrived in South Africa in 1995 as a refugee from the Democratic Republic of Congo, where civil war had broken out. She now lives in Pretoria with her family of 5. Sandra has survived sexual, emotional, and physical abuse in her younger years, and even spent 2 years in a refugee camp in Malawi. She had slept on the streets, often gone hungry, attending school without meals, enduring xenophobia, and teaching herself English. She is a strong personality with a gentle heart, a former model who is just as beautiful on the inside as she is on the outside. Her tenacity and will to rise to life's challenges are evident in how she has overcome her very humble beginnings. Her life experience is backed up by a degree in psychology and political science and certification in Neurolinguistic Programming, NLP. Through her coaching, Sandra supports other women, and particularly those impacted by gender-based violence, to find their voices and to live healthy, vibrant lives. Amen, Sandra. Thank you. Sandra has a passion for coaching. I know, you are just so amazing. And she has this passion for coaching on how to overcome the aftermath of sexual violence and keen interest in children and women's rights, civil rights education, and personal development. Her story is one of courage, hope, and resilience. When I heard your story for the first time, Sandra, I just cried because it was so beautiful. Thank you so much.
For having me. Thank you.
And the floor is yours, Sandra. Tell us the story.
So my story, I'll tell you a quick story. My parents, I was born in the Congo. We had a wonderful life. I had a really wonderful life in terms of my grandparents, my aunts, everybody was there. And then the Civil War started in the early 90s when the world was changing. Apartheid was ending in South Africa, the Cold War was ending, and the Civil War had broken out in the DRC. And my life was literally changed upside down from one moment where I was in a wonderful school, my grandparents were there, and the next we're running for our lives, not knowing where we are going, where we're gonna live, what we're gonna do. And, but I've always had parents. My parents have always been visionaries. They always wanted to give us education because they felt that if they could give us education, then the world is our oyster. They can't give us wealth because they lost all of it, but they could give us education. So they decided it's time to leave the DRC and to start a new life. So we left the DRC. At that time, you couldn't apply for passports. So we skipped a few borders illegally, slept in places that you would not imagine. There's one place that particularly stands out. We were in Mozambique, and they gave us this room. I don't know if you can imagine Mozambique in December. It's super hot, rainy, and we went into this room. When you turned off the lights, there were cockroaches everywhere. When I mean everywhere on your body. And when you turn on the light, they all disappear. So it's crazy things like that. And it required a lot of resilience and persistence, a lot of what are we doing? How are we going to get there? In December 1995, when everybody was having Christmas and enjoying themselves, we were running for our lives. We were in the middle of, in Mozambique, in Tete, driving to Maputo. And I clearly remember this, we're sitting at the small back of a bakkie, and the driver, because it was Christmas Eve, he was drinking. He was absolutely drunk. And if you drive through Mozambique, it's uphill. The one point we're going uphill, he literally missed a gear and we started reversing back. We were reversing back. And I remember my mom saying, God, if we are going to die, can we actually die somewhere where people are going to find our bodies so we can get buried and not in the middle of nowhere? And suddenly God answered a prayer and the guy managed to carry on. And we arrived in a place, by the way, when we were doing that, it was raining. It started raining 5 p.m. in that afternoon until 3 a.m. I'm not talking about drops of rain, buckets of rain. And we sat in the rain because it was a bakkie without a canopy. And that was our Christmas Eve in 1995. We sat in the rain for hours and hours. That's after walking the whole day with no food and no water. I'm gonna fast forward, arriving in South Africa in December 1995. We knew one person who took us in for like 2 days, and after that he couldn't keep us in. We went to the Home Affairs, declared ourselves as refugees, and we were given our asylum seekers papers, and they said, well, here we go. Now imagine a family of 7, mom and dad, 5 children, the oldest being 15, the youngest being 3. We don't speak a word of English, not a word between the 7 of us. And we have to find our way. And they give us a list of organizations that could help us to see if they, give us food or accommodation. And we walked, asking directions with no English. And eventually the African Muslim Agency, I'm forever grateful to them. They took us in, they gave us a place in Durban, Margaret from Durban, in Lennox Road, around the Greyville Racecourse. And we stayed there. And by God's grace, we started school. And when I got into school, in an all-girls school, I went to Ridge Park College, couldn't speak a word of English. And the girls, teenage girls are mean. The girls were so mean. I had no friends. And most times I went to school without food. And sometimes I would walk to school halfway and then take a bus. And I couldn't, the teachers were overwhelmed and no one could teach me English. So I decided, okay, I need to learn how to speak English in order to survive. So I took myself to the library every single day. It was easy anyway, because I couldn't sit with the other girls. I didn't have food and I was hungry. There's no point watching other people eat. So I'd go to the library every single day and I would start with the books that I now read to my 5-year-old, like Jim had a cat. Jim loves the cat. And that's how I taught myself how to speak English. And eventually I got to speaking, to reading Sweet Valley High. I don't know if any of you know those books. And Nancy Drew. And by the time I left high school, I matriculated when I was 20 because I'd missed 2 years of school with the running away and the refugee camp. I was 20 years old, finished school. I finished school on a Friday. On the Saturday morning, I started my first job at a hair salon as a receptionist with my very strong French accent English, where most people couldn't understand me at the time. And that's how I started my life, and just building up. And when I was 36 years old, I decided it's time to go to university. I was 32 weeks pregnant with 2 children, expecting my 3rd. And I arrived on campus waddling with this big belly. with 18-year-olds who would complain about not having enough time. I was like, what are you talking about? And I graduated during the lockdown in 2020 when we went into full-blown lockdown. It was my last year of university. I was finishing that. We were homeschooling our children. It was just, but here we are. And my journey to Mrs. South Africa, entering and just discovering myself again. So that's in the very short version of my life. Very short version.
Well, I'll tell you, that's just amazing. And I think it's amazing because with you, me, and Peggys Story, 3 women who started with nothing and really made their lives worthwhile, we all started in a hair salon. Isn't that just amazing? I started washing hair in a hair salon when I was 12. Peggys Story went and she started in a hair salon when she was 18, and you worked in a hair salon. So it just goes to show hair is important, girls. There's no, those of you who work in hair salons, you are important. And I still say to this day, nothing makes you feel better than a really good blow wave. You know, if you really feel important, don't have a blow wave, you come out feeling good. But getting back to your NLP, NLP is something that not everybody knows, and some people watching don't know what NLP is. It's Neurolinguistic Programming, which is basically making your mind work the way you want it to work. That's how I explain it to people in a nutshell. How did you get into that? I mean, you know, coming out, learning English, and I must say your English is just amazing because you can converse in English. A lot of people will learn a language and they can speak it. Like I can speak Afrikaans, but I can't converse in it. And, you know, they asked me to be on an Afrikaans show now, and I said, I can't because I still cannot converse in Afrikaans. So well done for being able to converse in English and to think as fast as you can. And, you know, your brain's talking and brain's obviously thinking in English. But tell us about Neurolinguistic Programming. How did you get introduced to it, and what difference did it make in your life?
So I got introduced to it when it came a time to deal with my past abuse. As Stacey says, I was sexually abused as a child. And there comes a point where you have to deal with the past, otherwise it will keep tripping you over. People say, no, just put it in the past and shove it down. I'm like, no, the past has power over you. Until you deal with it, it has the power to destroy everything you have. So I decided to go to therapy. And the therapist, the life coach that I went to was a Neurolinguistic Programming. And it just blew my mind away how seeing things from a different perspective and changing your mind and changing the language around something, how it will change your life. It's not actually what happened to you that affects you, it's how you interpret it in your mind that begins to affect you. So if you can change the way you view something in your mind, your life begins to change. And then you begin to make decisions based on that. It's really about how your mind operates and how it functions. What you believe, you really become what you believe. For me, I lived in a place that I was a victim. I was a victim of somebody's evilness. But when I chose to see, okay, that happened to me, but what I decide to do from now on, that's what makes me a victim or not. That was a game and life changer, because you can't blame people for what happens after.
No.
You know what I mean? So that was really good for me. When people, if you can change the way people see and the view, the lenses through which they see life is very important. Some people view life through the lenses of lack. If you view life through the lens of lack, you will never have enough. There will never be enough opportunities. But if you view your life through the lenses of abundance, there's always more than enough around you. So it's very important how we see life.
Yes, and also I think the words you speak are what you prophesy into your life. If you think of yourself as a victim, you'll become a victim. If you think of yourself as a conqueror, you'll become a conqueror. I think of myself as courageous, and that's why I can get out and do absolutely anything that I need to do. Stacey, how did you get involved and introduced to NLP?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I went through this journey as well, in that I had incredibly toxic mindsets. And I decided that the only way I was going to be free and have a happy life. So this was in my 20s. And I had the mindset that, why does everyone have more than me? Why are they getting that and I'm not? And why are they better than me and I'm not? And one day it was like, I just remember thinking, the penny just dropped, and I thought, you know what, if I don't change my thinking, my life's never going to change, because it has to start with me. Exactly. And that was the start. But, you know, it's amazing how you'll have something negative happen in your life, and you just go down that little bit of a rabbit hole where you're like, oh, woe is me. And you have to go, no, not woe is me. How can I change this? How can I do a better job? you know. And so that for me was my introduction to NLP, and it's incredible. It really is. So if there's anyone listening that needs a little mindset shift, NLP is the way to go. But actually, I thought of asking the audience when you were talking about NLP, if anyone is happy to tell us, what mindsets would you change? So if there's anyone listening and happy to say, what mindset would you like to change? And
I've put in the questions, have you experienced NLP in your life? Everybody who's on the chat today, there's 35 people on there. Have you experienced NLP in your life? And you just put a Y for yes and an N for no, just so that we know, because I mean, it's something that a lot of people, that when you know it, you take it that everybody knows about it, but some people have never even experienced NLP before in their life. So while we're waiting for everybody to say, lots of no's, hey, wow. Jess, in your life, where did you get introduced to NLP?
Well, I obviously studied psychology, so have always had an interest in the mind and how it works and the power of the mind and how we can create the life we want to live. But Sandra, I wanted to ask you a question, if that's okay. Obviously, discussing resilience, if there was ever a story of resilience, it's yours. I mean, it's just incredible. It really was one setback after the other. And I think in the last 2 years, the entire world has sort of had a taste of resilience, and it's very easy to get stuck in this woe is me mindset. What next? I can't take anymore. I don't have the strength anymore. But for you, it spanned a whole lot more than 2 years. And I think a huge part of resilience is having a purpose, having a reason to carry on. Because I think sometimes we think resilience is avoiding the suffering, being strong enough to not feel the feels. But resilience is actually, the ability to recover from the suffering. It's not having bad things happen to you. It's having bad things happen to you and being able to deal with it and move through it. But I think in order to do that, a huge part is obviously your mindset. Another huge part is, what is my reason? What is my purpose and passion for wanting to move through this, and not just move through it, but be a better person through it, as hard as it may seem at the time. So growing up, obviously you were young. So what was that reason and purpose for you, and where did it come from?
Good question. I think for me, it's important to have a vision. I've always had a vision for my life. My parents would tell you, even when I was younger, I always knew what I wanted to do. I didn't know how I wanted to do it, but I had a vision. A quick story that will help you to get for my parents. When we were in the refugee camp, for example, they had a postcard of Durban that someone had found somewhere, a friend had sent, and they had it in our tent. That was the first thing we saw when we woke up, and the last thing we saw when we went to sleep. So that was our vision. We are going to South Africa. And no matter what are we going to do in between to get there. So that's what resilience is. You have to have a vision. If you don't have a vision for your life, then you just spend everywhere. And then with that, it's not just having a vision. What are the goals? Like for us, it was, this is the vision to get to South Africa. How are we going to get there? It means we all had to work, all of us, all children. Every child went to the market every Saturday to sell rice. That was the goal. That means every penny we had, we put together, everybody was contributing, everybody. So that was the goal, to do that. And what was the other thing is to try and read English books and to learn English when you're in a refugee camp, but we didn't know English, so that was very hard. So that, I think resilience is part of it. Have a vision, have goals to support that vision. And number two is you need to have a conviction of the vision that you have. We see it everywhere. Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King. Everybody has a conviction. Are you willing to die for that conviction that you have? Are you willing to say, I'll put everything on the line to get to my vision? And then number three, I would say self-leadership. No one is coming to rescue you. I tell people that. No one is coming for you. No one. No one is gonna, people have their own lives. No one is gonna give up what they're doing to come and rescue you out of your pits. It doesn't happen. So stop expecting people to come and rescue you. There is no savior. Jesus died for you. Perfect. That's great. But even he does not do everything for you. So no one is coming to save you. Take the responsibility to say, hey, I need to do this. And the last thing I'm going to say is it takes time. We all wake up and think our vision is going to go in a straight line. Never does. This is how it goes. Up and down, up and down, up and down. And sometimes you feel like you want to give up. But the vision is the thing that's going to keep you going over and over again. That's why I did a degree at 36. I knew that I had to do that. It's something I wanted to do in my younger years. And I had to do that. And it's going to take, it's the ability, like you said, Jace, to pick yourself up. I've had so many blows in my life that I thought were going to destroy me. But then I would get up and say, no one is coming to rescue me. This is it. This is me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the strongest thing. I think we read those books where the white knight comes down on the horse and picks us up and takes us off into sunset. It doesn't happen like that. You've got to do it yourself. And so I just want to get back to when you were at school and you didn't have friends in that. And I know I changed schools a lot of times. My father died and we went to, down, down, down. And I kept on changing schools. I can remember being in standard 7, which, teenage 14-year-olds. And I was 14 and standard 7, they're about 15 now. But those girls also, they had their little cliques and I didn't fit in. And I also just had to find something to do at lunchtime. That's when I became, let me do this, let me go and work at this and that. So that I had things like that. So what I'm saying to people who've got teenagers who are going through a hard time where they don't fit in, that type of thing, to me now, looking back at 70, looking back at all the people I've seen coming up, those are the people who actually became resilient and grew the most. Those who had all the friends and all the buddies, they did nothing with their lives. Their lives just frittered away to nothing. But the ones that had to make friends and to go out and do stuff so that they had something to do at lunchtime, those are the ones who've had the strongest lives going forward. So, so Sandra, it's the most amazing story, and just makes us see the other side of the refugees coming in. I'm a refugee. I came from Zimbabwe with the clothes on my back, and I think now let's talk about immigrants and immigrants doing so well, because we have to work so much harder. But what's worrying is the children of immigrants. They've come in and they've had an easy life now. How do we make sure that they go forward and work hard as well?
I think with immigrants, for example, my parents, when they arrived here with 5 children, there is no going back.
Yeah.
Where do you go to? You don't have an option. You have to make it work where you are. And I look at my kids, they're very privileged. They have 2 mom and dads that are working well. And I often worry that we're giving them too much. But I think there are certain things. My struggles don't have to be my children's struggles. And I wouldn't want them to struggle to go to school hungry. I don't want them to go through the same things I went through. However, there are certain things we can teach our children, like responsibility. From as little, when my daughter was 3 years old, from the moment she could talk, the moment she could pick up anything, I don't ever clean up after my children, Margaret. Like, I don't. People say my house is clean and we have a helper. I tell people that our helper works for me. I tell that to my kids. She doesn't work for you. Yeah. So you clean up after yourself all the time. From as little they were 2, they always clean up after themselves and give them responsibility. I don't pack my children extramurals bags. I do not. From the moment they could do things, I would say, okay, tomorrow is swimming. What do you need for swimming? And I would sit down with them. It could take an hour. That's fine. It would take 5 minutes for me to do it, but I am crippling them. So I'll say, go get your swimming costume. Okay, what next? The swimming cap, goggles. It's giving them tools, large skills that are going to help them. Our kids have to make their beds every morning. Absolutely every morning. No one is going to make your bed. That is a responsibility that you have to do. And also they see the resilience and the hard work, the work ethic. We don't take shortcuts. In our family, we do everything with excellence. Excellence, I don't expect perfection, but I expect excellence because we are all capable of excellence. You know what I mean? So the immigrant, and people will say immigrants are succeeding. It's because you really don't have a choice. The trauma my family and I went through 20 years ago, we don't ever want to go back there at all. It's like when we saw the protests in Natal last year, I was so triggered because that was like I was reliving a nightmare that I never thought I would have to relive again. You know what I mean? So we have to work hard. And today, I'm going to say this, of young people today, freaks me out how entitled they are. Completely freaks me out. I can't handle it. You know, when I was a teenager, if I wanted new clothes, I used to go wash dishes. I would wash dishes from 4 p.m. when the restaurant opened until 3 a.m. in the morning, so I could buy myself a t-shirt. And do you know, I treated that t-shirt with so much respect because I know how hard I worked for it. But this entitlement that the young people have freaks me out, because you feel like I don't have to work hard, it just has to come easy. And that's why my children will never get an iPhone as their first phone. They'll get a Nokia that can only send a text message.
Oh, that reminds me of such a good joke I saw today. This guy gets married, and the next day he goes to the makeup artist to put the makeup on his wife, and he gives her this box with a beautiful box and it says iPhone, the latest iPhone, and she opens it and inside is a Nokia. And she says, "How could you do this to me? It's an old Nokia." He says, "Well, that's how I felt this morning when I woke up and saw what my wife really looked like." So, yeah, no, it's so true. And the kids today are entitled, and it's so difficult because you want to give them everything. You want them to have everything, but do they appreciate it? And the answer is no, because they haven't worked for it. So how to get them to work for it really is important. Now, Stacey, with 4 boys, it's a whole other world. My daughter's got 3 boys. My son's got 2 boys. So we have 5, and it's a handful. It's a busy, busy life. How do you think people should go about making sure that their children don't end up entitled?
Yeah, I must say I have the exact same approach as Sandra. The first thing they have to do when they wake up is make their bed. So you and I, same. And the same, my kids often ask for phones, and they're like, so-and-so in their class has a phone. And I said, well, I'm sorry, so-and-so is not my child. You know, I didn't give that phone. I'm not going to give you that phone, and you need to work for it. And we have a thing where if they want to be on, if they want to watch TV, if they want to play on my phone or something, they have to have some outside time, or they have to do something to deserve to have TV time, you know. So it's for me, it's about finding the balance while disciplining them and showing them that they need to be grateful. My son, something happened a few days ago, and he broke something, and I just said, I'm sorry, this is coming out of your pocket money. Like, we can't just keep replacing things. It's coming out of your pocket money. It just has to happen. And he was quite devastated, but hopefully he's learned a good lesson.
Yeah,
So
I think it teaches them the value of things. You know, and it's quite hard to teach them value when you want to give them everything. Jess, you've got little kids. What are you going to do to make sure that they don't grow up and saying, "Come on, Mom, I want the latest iPhone, I want the latest PlayStation, I want the latest this." You know, it's quite a difficult thing, because when they're little, you are giving them literally everything they need. Where do you draw that line, do you say?
I think it's about instilling that attitude of gratitude, that regardless of how big or small the act or gift is, they must be as grateful, you know, whether it's a quick little sweet when you pick them up from school, or that Nintendo game that they've asked for years, whatever it is, to have the same feelings of gratitude. I mean, I just had a little example with my 3-year-old last night. He, weeks ago, we went to Toys R Us, and there was a little ride-on tractor with trailer, but a motorized one. And he obviously asked if he could have it, and the answer was obviously no. And shame, last night he sat on his bed and he whipped out his little Spider-Man wallet and asked if there was enough money in it so that we could go and buy the tractor and trailer ride-on. So I said, when he gets home from school today, we'll count the money and see how much there is. And if there isn't enough, he'll have to keep saving until you know, he has enough. So I think it's just those little things. Yes, they deserve, you know, their love language might be gifts. So you don't always want to deny them that either. But it doesn't have to be big and bold. But you know, it can be something small. But obviously, when it comes to the bigger things, and to teach them the value, the difference in value, although to be as grateful for all of them, but to understand that things do have different values, and we can't just get whatever it is that they want at the drop of a hat.
And I think also to know that people do go through. I have a gentleman who works for me called John, and he walked from the Congo down to South Africa, and he arrived at my store in Umhlanga one day and said to me, "Can you give me a job?" And I said to him, "John, I can't, your papers are not in order." So he said, "Well, can I work as a car guard until I can get my papers in order?" So I allowed him to work as a car guard, and which he did. So I wasn't paying him, he was just there and he got tips until I got his papers through. We got him asylum, and then he started working for me. And to me, it was so fantastic when he sent for his wife, who wasn't his wife. Then he came in, we had the wedding. I had his first child, whose name was Divine. He had the second child. And now his wife, I got her a job at a school that I work at, and they are the most perfect, lovely family. And to me, that's my greatest thing, that I could help them to get there. And they're so grateful. And they now want to help others, which they're doing. They're helping other people coming from DRC who are still arriving in Durban now, saying, we've got to do this. But I want to change it now and get onto your story, Sandra, with Mrs. South Africa. You knew that Mrs. South Africa is a grooming place for women who it's hard to, there's no finishing schools today. So you came in, you didn't have the finesse that you needed. But I think that the Mrs. South Africa platform showed you, and just talk us through that whole thing. When you got there the first day, there's 100 of you, which we're doing next weekend, by the way, 100. If you haven't entered Mrs. South Africa, you should, because it's fabulous. And tell us, you got there's 100 of you. You were the only one from DRC there, all these beautiful women. How did you cope with that situation?
So it was actually my husband's idea that I enter Mrs. South Africa, because I'd been a housewife for 10 years, and 5 of those I was studying. And he's like, you've been through a lot, just go have fun. I used to model in my younger years. It's like, go have fun. And I entered, I was like, okay, I've got nothing to lose. I actually didn't think I would get picked, because it was one of those things. And then when I received the email, because they send you an email, they say, don't tell the public yet, but you've been accepted as one of the top 100. I was so excited. I was like, oh gosh, it's everything. And then the day before, I went shopping, because I thought this was a new journey. I was starting a new journey, and I needed a new dress to kind of commemorate that whole thing. It's like a wedding dress, So I went my dress. But here's the thing, Margaret. I remember when I woke up that morning, I said, this is my journey. I made this decision alone in Durban with my husband. We were on holiday when I sent in the papers. I will not look at anybody else. This is going to be Sandra's journey. I'm going to support and celebrate everybody else. And I think that's who I am naturally. And I had to be that. I had to break the spirit of comparison very early on in my life, because my life, whenever you compare yourself to other people, you either come out bigger than an ant, than an elephant, or smaller than an ant. And as a refugee, I couldn't compare my life to anybody else's. I always came out lower and lower. So I decided I will never compare my life to anybody else's. And when I arrived to Mrs. South Africa, I had already written out my goals, exactly what I wanted. This is what I want to achieve, and these are the things I want to do. And I said to you earlier in the chat, I never wanted the crown. I knew from the beginning, I didn't want the crown. I just wanted the whole thing. Arriving there the first day with 100 women, and my husband would deny this. I'm actually quite an introvert a little bit, so it was overwhelming to have so many women. It's like, oh my gosh, and they're all so stunning. But you know what? There's always that one, be that girl. I'm gonna say this, be that girl that will call that girl, and say, hey, come join us. You can sit with us. And there was one girl, Itumeleng Kekana, she was also one of the top 25. She says, come join us. And that's how the journey began. And at times I was like, oh my gosh, what did I sign up for? Because it stretches you. It's really like the MBA of life. One of my favorite things I loved was the glamorous side of it, the makeup, the photo shoot, the girl weekend away. It's like, it was so lovely to meet other powerful women. And these girls are strong, like they're strong as moms, as wives, as businesswomen. And my dad always used to say, if you want to be like anybody, hang around those people. And that's part of resilience as well. If you want to be a writer, hang around writers. If you want to be a businesswoman, hang around businesswomen, learn whatever it is, hang around the people you want to be like, so you can grow and flourish. And these women taught me so much about myself, that you can be in a woman full of powerful women and still be okay with yourself, not lowering yourself because this one is more powerful, And we could fix each other's crown, like Roxy, the second princess at the moment. I remember when it was the semifinals and I was wearing my bikini, I'm like, Rox, my bikini keeps going up my butt. She's like, come here, I'll fix it. And she taped my butt down with tape. She had to take tape, and like literally, I'm like, this is like so weird. Only my husband gets to do this, but today you get to see up my butt, Roxy. Just put it. So it's just a good experience. And I walked away feeling I achieved everything I wanted to. I really did. I wanted to launch my career as a keynote speaker. I did that. I wanted to launch my coaching company. I did that. I wanted to get back into modeling. I did that. I achieved everything I wanted to do because I had a vision. Again, it comes back to a vision. Some people would say, oh, Mrs. South Africa didn't do anything for me. I'm like, it was not meant to do anything for you. You are meant to use the platform that it's given to you. You know, like I got to meet so many incredible people. Margaret, thank you. I think I said that to you already. You introduced us to the most incredible people, and some of them I connected with and some of them I didn't. And the ones I connected with, I would reach out to them offline. And like Marlene from Action Coach, I think it is, I talked to her. So it's what you make of it. No one can do anything for you unless you do it for yourself.
Absolutely. I think that's the whole thing. But what I loved about Mrs. South Africa, and I didn't do the courses, but I saw it all happening, is they teach you to do your makeup. Nobody teaches you to do your makeup. You get up and you practice and you do it how you think you're going to do it. Nobody teaches you how to do your own hair. Nobody teaches you how to walk and how to stand and how to pose. And to me, the worst thing is when you're going to take a picture and somebody says, oh, no, I hate being in pictures. Well, you've got to be in pictures today. That's what life's about. You make it, put your best face forward.
Yes.
So I think it gets you over yourself. All the things that you wanted to hide, it stops you from doing that. And it does stretch you, as you know, I did the cooking with some of the finalists as well. Some of them had never even been in their own kitchens, but we cooked in the kitchens. We did stuff, and when I gave them challenges, the one girl said, Margaret, I've never made a pudding in my life, but I'm going to try and make this pudding now. And she did really, really well. Yeah. So I think it just stretches you to do things that you didn't think that you could do. And of course, with Jo, she was so good at making the videos, and so she did as well. She was just incredible at that. And now she's won now, so she'll have this whole year as Mrs. South Africa. But after that, she knows she's creative and she can do advertising and marketing. And that, I think, was the goodness. And inside everybody is that just amazing something. And sometimes we just need that person just to help us get it out. And I believe that Mrs. South Africa platform really does that. So just an aside, I've got the application forms in all our stores and online for us to help women, because I was amazed. I think that KwaZulu-Natal, where I'm at the moment, has the most beautiful Indian women, and I couldn't believe we only had one entry in Mrs. South Africa, and I just said, that's incredible. We should have had a lot. We should have had people from all different ethnic backgrounds coming in and just saying, here I am, this is me. And we did. We had the big ones, the small ones, the fat ones, the thin ones, the tall ones, the short ones, and they were all just amazing. So I think it is, and I think women need to mix with women. In the old days, there was competition with women, and you weren't nice to other women. But now I think the whole thing has changed. My saying is girls fight, but women support each other. Yes. Now, Sandra, you support a lot of different charities, and you've got your own charity. Tell us about that and how you got into charity work.
I think charity work has been so important to me. I think of African Muslim Agency. If they were not there, my family and I would literally have been on the street. Yeah. There's no way about it. If they did not exist, we would have been on the streets. And I think for me, giving back is so important. Generosity for me, it's important to be generous. I get, my dad, for example, was a car guard. I have the deepest respect for car guards. It's important. Like, I can't, please, I'm going to do this. It's my pet peeve. Can we please stop giving car guards 2 rand? Like, what do you buy with 2 rand? You know what I mean? Stop giving them the coins that you don't want to use. Like, give them something that can help them buy
that they need to use. Yes. I run a school on the beachfront in Durban, and our school fees are paid by the car guards with their 2 rands. How strange is that, hey?
That's amazing.
Your heart bleeds for them. They come in with their little pile of 2 rands for the day. This is towards my child's school fees. And you just think, oh my gosh, no, I must say, I always give a note.
Exactly. And for me, my charity of choice was Women for Women during my Mrs. South Africa journey. The reason I picked them is about educating women and children. And I think that's so important. And I did a fundraiser. That's one thing I learned on my journey to Mrs. South Africa. I didn't know I was capable of doing a fundraiser. I did this thing, and 120 women showed up. I was so blown away. I was blown away that people are willing to help so much. And I find one thing, a very important lesson I learned in my South Africa journey is when you are doing something, companies are more than willing to support you. People want to see
I
you.
always say that, you know, if you see a car stopped on the side of the road, the person sitting in it, nobody will stop and help. If you get out and open the bonnet and start pushing it or something, everybody will help. Yes. And I must say for myself, when Mpo and I did our charity drive, we needed 50,000 Rand. We said, we need this for this matric dance. We went in, we did the charity drive, and I kid you not, we got to exactly 50,000 Rand. I couldn't believe it myself. I couldn't, but that was the exact thing. So I think it's just getting yourself out there, putting yourself out there and knowing that you can do it. Yeah. Yes. So carry on. Wow, that's amazing.
So Women for Women for me it's a great initiative. And for me personally, that's the reason why I started Brave Spaces. Brave Spaces is a place where women that have been abused, sexually abused like myself, and gender-based violence is a serious problem in this country. And people don't always have a lot of money to seek help. And I think that it's so wrong that when you are sick emotionally, you can't get help because psychologists are expensive. Even myself as a coach, I am expensive because I also need to pay my bills. But I created Brave Spaces as a place where we can do group coaching. I can't see one-on-one people pro bono all the time, but we can do group coaching and say, hey, let's get together. Because sometimes when you hear somebody else's story, it encourages you to do better. Because when you can see, and I think that's what gives me hope. I tell people, I'm like, if you take a refugee child who was broken, abused, abandoned sometime, and I can rebuild my life, anybody can do that. I didn't become this because there's something extraordinary about me. It's just because I'm a human being who has just made the right decisions. And that's why I started Brave Spaces. I want women to find the freedom to begin to live healthy, vibrant lives. Because when you are a toxic woman, you become a toxic mom, you become a toxic wife, you become a toxic friend. But if you are a healthy woman, you are a healthy mom, healthy wife, healthy everything. And that's why it's so important for women to find healing. And I really believe that, we are givers of life. But if you are giving life of toxicity, it's just not going to work. So give life of healthy vibrancy. That's why.
And teach happiness. We don't teach enough happiness. And some people think that they shouldn't be happy. I shouldn't be happy and smiling. You should. You actually have to be, because if you're happy and smiling, you're by the law of attraction, you attract more of it to yourself. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. Stacey, coming from your point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there are all these subjects that we need to really live out, talking about resilience. The one thing that has consistently been the topic is vision. And again, like for all of us to not let that go. I mean, you talk about it all the time, Margaret, having that vision forward and having that vision, and then having those other points like happiness and gratitude, and, to have those all on our list and have them in our lives, to be deliberate about living it out,
Yeah, and I think that we've got it, it says in the Bible, ask and you'll receive, seek and you'll find. Nowhere does it say, sit and you ask someone to throw everything into your lap. Absolutely. And I always say the most important thing is the little birds. There's food for all the birds. People say, I haven't got food, I haven't got this. Well, there's food for all the birds, but God doesn't throw it in the nest. You see them scratching from the morning to the night. And I think that's what we have to do. We have to be working from the morning to the night to make sure that we are, because gender-based violence, we can get rid of it that quick if women are financially free. But the thing is that they're not. And we just had an occasion where I employed a girl. She was living with this fellow. She was in a bad relationship, the whole story. And I said, yeah, well, you've got the job. She came to the job. We're training her. She said, you know what? It's actually easier to live with him because he gives me everything I need, all the money I want. So I'm really working hard for a little bit of money here, but he gives me a lot. But,
wow.
I have to stop, put up with the smacks every now and then. So to her, it was okay to do that. And I said, you'll never stop gender-based violence if you don't get out and work for yourself. Because if you're financially free, you can leave at any time. But if you're not financially free, that's when you have to sit and take the clubs. So I think if you just get women to be financially free, they can get the hell out of there. Sandra, what do you think?
I think, Margaret, it's important. Here's one thing before I answer your question I want to add is that we are all created by God, and God always creates something with a seed. He never just sent a human being poof on the planet. You've got nothing inside of you. You've got nothing to do. I firmly believe that's why the attitude of gratitude is so important. We all have something inside of us that we can give back to society.
Yeah.
People, the fact, and I think that's why social media is so dangerous, because you look at people's lives. I only share my highlights. I don't share my lowlights.
Yeah.
You will never see me washing dishes at 3 o'clock in the morning because I want to pay for that degree. You know what I mean? And I think financial freedom, again, it's a vision. I am married and my husband is our provider. I haven't worked in 10 years until the past year and a half, but he's provided for me. But here's the thing. I'm like, I want to provide for me. I like nice things. I'm a bougie girl. I want to do my lashes. I want to do my hair. And I don't want to have to ask my husband to pay for my lashes. I want to do that. And it gives me self-satisfaction. And that comes from a place where I have a good husband who provides for me. But that's not everybody's story. So I think that for my daughter, she's 10, I tell her, Kaya, you do not ever have to lower yourself for anybody. You be the best soccer player. You be the best tennis player. You be the best at everything you can be. And if a boy comes and asks you to stop being the best, he's not the boy for you.
Absolutely. And if he doesn't build you up and make you feel amazing, then he's not the one for you. You've got to get the hell out of there mighty quick.
Exactly. Exactly. I think women should be financially independent. Oh, my favorite is that, oh, I've got no work to do. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Do you have flour in your house? Do you have oil? Can you bake? Yes, I can bake. Then bake 10 cupcakes and go to your neighbors and say, hey, I'll be baking these every Friday. Would you buy them from me? Sure. Yeah. Oh, instead of sitting down and doing nothing, it's like, what can you do? I can clean dishes. You can go to your neighbors and say, hey, I don't have anything to do during the week. Can I wash your house once a week? You know what I mean? It's like, it's a thing of visionary. When you're a visionary, no one will hand you anything. You do whatever you need to do to get what you want to have. So.
And I think sometimes we try and think too big rather than starting small and building on that. And I think I'm just thinking of the cupcakes and the every Friday. I think COVID helped with that a little bit, in that people lost jobs and they really had to work with what they had at home. And as you say, have you got flour? Bake the cupcakes. And I live in an estate where there's obviously a group chat, and all of a sudden people were using their own talents and their own things at home to sell things. And they've actually continued to do so. They've made little businesses out of it. So to just start with where you are and what you have, and slowly build on that and grow with that. And I think that is exactly what your story is, Sandra. It's just starting where you were, having a vision, but in small increments. But I just wanted to ask you as well, I'm sure you given your story, are still triggered and can easily be triggered. Yes. So as a little message of hope to people out there, what is your go-to when you feel triggered, or how do you work through these triggers and these moments so that you come out the other side feeling okay?
I think first of all is realizing that healing is not linear, and healing is not a destination, it's a journey. You don't arrive, oh, I'm healed. It doesn't happen. If you have that, take it off the table. It never happens, never will happen. It's a journey. You deal with things as they come. I had to deal with abuse as a single woman, as a married woman, as a wife. One day I'll have to deal with it as a grandmother. When the protest happened, I didn't realize that was still a thing in me. I didn't realize that I would be so triggered, because you put it at the back of your mind, you start a new life, and then this thing is happening. You are so triggered, and I had to sit down and face it. That's the thing with trauma and everything in our lives. You cannot run away from it. You have to sit and say, okay, I'm here now. I acknowledge this. What am I going to do about it? And I'll use the case of the protest before, is to say, okay, this is triggering me. All right, what are you going to do about it? Okay, I need to think, why is it triggering me? And I'm like, it's because this is how the civil war started in the Congo, and it escalated so quickly and people didn't know what to do. Is there something you can do about it? No, there's nothing I can do about it. Can you control what's happening on the outside? No, I cannot. Okay, so What can you control? I can control how I'm feeling inside. So you have a conversation with yourself. It takes a lot of self-awareness and mindfulness to be able to do that. And I had to, okay, so why are you scared? I'm scared I'm going to lose everything and I'll have to be a refugee again and start all over again. Okay, but here's the thing. You do realize you are living in a different country and the lenses through which you are seeing this whole thing is completely wrong. Oh, that's true. I am seeing, you know what I mean? Just going through it and talking to yourself until you arrive to a place. It's like, I let it go and talk to yourself. I talk to myself, say, you are safe. You are safe and you are safe, you know? And for me, that's how I got through the protest. And for me, I said to my husband, I will no longer watch movies where people are getting raped or children are getting abused, because that's triggering for me. Mm-hmm. And not placing yourselves in situations that will get you triggered. You just have to have the sense of self-awareness and learning your body. I think all of you would relate, where you are doing fine and then you get a message, something changes in you, the atmosphere changes. And most of us just carry on. But it's good to just stop, say, hey, something just changed. I don't know what just changed. And question yourself and then get to the point of it and move on. Don't place yourselves in situations that will trigger you. Like an alcoholic will not keep alcohol in his house. Don't do that. Yeah. You're not going to keep drugs in your house. So know your triggers and manage them. At the same time, being able to live in a world that's completely fallen and broken. I mean, I work with abused women and I've learned to separate myself, that's not my story, that's her story. Yeah. That's her story. And I'm not here to fix it. I do not have the power to heal anyone. However, I can walk this journey of healing with you. I can't heal you, but I can walk with you. So that's how I deal with my triggers.
Yeah, and I think for me, the trigger when we went through because having left Zimbabwe with nothing, started here again, then when we saw it, we watched the whole looting in our shops on TV, on our CCTV cameras. We saw it happening. There was nothing we could do. And I sat next to my husband who said, I feel so helpless. I feel so helpless. We couldn't get out of our home, so we were stuck. When I went in the next morning, and by the way, the looters were still there the next morning when I went in, the first thing I had to do was I had to forgive them. Because while you hold on to that anger and all that drama, and I mean, we lost 46 million rand in one day. It was just wasted. I had to forgive them for that before I could move on. And the picture you saw of me there that was taken was while I was actually physically forgiving them. And I had to, it was like a physical thing that went out there. I forgive you for what you've done. And said the Bible, God, Lord, forgive them for they know not what they do. And so I had to say that, forgive them. They didn't know what they were doing. They were put up to it. It was a setup. And I had to forgive them. But once I had done that, I had released all the anger and all the other stuff that was there. And then I could move on. Then I said, okay, guys, now we've got to get stuck and we've got to clean this mess up. And that's what we did. And I think if you just go through that forgiveness first, because that forgiveness is something that I had to learn. And that's when I went to a shrink, that they had to teach me to let that forgiveness go. And the only thing that got me going was I was paying 300 Rand, and that was a long time ago. It was 1988. Paying 300 Rand a session to forgive them. I've got to get this done. And I did the forgiveness and I felt it was like a physical thing going. And then I knew how to do it. So every time after that, when something terrible has happened, I knew how to do that forgiveness. And I think before you can move on, you have to forgive. It's such an important thing. What do you think, Sandra? You had to forgive all those perpetrators that had done terrible things.
Absolutely. You know, there's some people, I don't know, JC, if you've come across psychologists that say, forgiveness is not required in healing. I strongly disagree with that. Strongly, because I think that forgiveness releases you. My dad always used to say that unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Yeah. But unforgiveness, that's why we have so many diseases these days, because people are holding on to so much. It's like it poisons your body. Yeah. That's what unforgiveness does. And you have to forgive. There's one thing, when I started my journey to healing, my first counselor said to me, forgiveness is like opening a tap of hot water. Initially, it's cold water that comes out. And then the water becomes lukewarm. And then it gets hot and becomes warm. And before you know it, the room is steaming up. That's what unforgiveness is like. When you start saying it, I forgive you, it sounds cold, almost like a lie. You're like, I'm lying. But eventually, it becomes so real. And you know that when you're forgiving someone, when something bad happens to them, there's deep compassion in you. I remember when I heard about one of the perpetrators and how they died, and I had such deep compassion. I said, that is such a terrible way to die. I did not celebrate it. You cannot celebrate people's misfortune if you have truly forgiven them. And that's when you know you are free, because they no longer have power over you. And if you don't forgive your perpetrators, they always have power over you, and you will always remain a victim.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. I strongly believe that.
And the whole thing is to become a victor, not a victim. And it's a complete mindset change, which NLP will do. So we got carried away with so many other things. We've only got 5 minutes left. So Jess, a quick wrap up from you. To me, this has been most amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I don't think we can give a better example of resilience, and to just do it with such a positive, uplifting attitude is just incredible. It's just such a story of courage and hope for everybody out there. So if anybody's looking for any bit of courage, I think listening to this is going to help. But I think in terms of resilience in general, we need to just look after ourselves on a day-to-day basis, you know, the small acts of self-care, so that it's not the small things that set us over the edge, that we're ready to face things as and when they happen. And to just remind ourselves of, you know, we think that being resilient means to be strong, but there's a bit of a misconception when it comes to what strong is. You know, a strong person is going to feel sad, is going to have down days, is going to experience these struggles, but then be able to move through them. So you know, it's okay. But I think the biggest thing I want to say is thank you to Sandra so much for sharing your story. Yeah, we really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, I also want to say thank you to Sandra. You know, it's difficult to share a story like that. It's such a personal story, and you really got to put yourself out there. And I think that's where a lot of people battle with it. But once you do it and you can do it, it just makes it so powerful. And other people know that you've been through it, and whatever they're going through, they can get through. Stacey, just a quick wrap up from you, and let us know who we're going to be talking to next week as well, please.
Yeah, I feel the same. Thank you so much, Sandra. You are so incredible. And the word that kept coming to me was that you are just so full of grace. So thank you. Thank you for your grace and just allowing us the space to hear what you have been through. So incredible. Next week is on essential oils by a lady called Marion. So very excited. I know essential oils has been a bit of a journey for me, just because my cousin has autism, or her 2 kids have autism, and it's been so beautiful watching them through that. So that will be next week. And Sandra, thank you also for talking to us about NLP. It's actually a space that we really need to discuss more, because those pathways in our brain need to be encouraged to grow, and we need to change our mindset. So thank you.
Yes, I was shocked to see how many people had never heard of NLP. So we're going to have to definitely put something on just on NLP going forward. Yeah, it's something that we take for granted because we know about it, but so many of the population don't know. So girls have been watching, especially those of you who said no there. We are going to be giving you something on NLP. And Sandra, just a quick wrap up to you, to all the women watching out there who are going through what they think is a really hard time. You can tell them what a hard time is all about. Just to know that everybody's journey is different, and it's not what happens to you, it's how you deal with it that makes the difference. Just a quick wrap up from you.
I think the last word will be that you have the capability and the ability to do this, and no one is coming to rescue you. So get up, pick yourself up with tears. I don't care how broken you are. If you can't walk, crawl. If you can't crawl, just, you know, like a snail, go at a snail pace. You can do this. You've got this. And your children and generations are dependent on you to get up. So you change the narrative of the next generation. It's not impossible. It is absolutely possible. That's all
I think that's the key. Change your narrative to make sure that the next generation doesn't go and just do exactly what you've done, and it just goes on and on. So let us be the ones who make the change. Let you be the one who makes the change, and never let it be said that today isn't the day that you started. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I really enjoyed today's session. Thank you, Sandra, for being there for us. It was amazing. We loved every second of it, and I can't wait to see you girls all next week. Thank you so much. Have a brilliant week. Lovely Valentine's
Day. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day.
Valentine's.
Bye.